Hi, Forrest. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Laura. I'm so happy to be here again. Every year it gives me a lot of joy.
Every single year. What is
Mhm.
this, our third year together?
Maybe I was thinking about that just now. I know we definitely did Ian Water Rabbit and the Dragon. Yeah, I think it's the number three.
I think we also started during Tiger.
Oh, we did Tiger. We did Young Water
I think
Tiger.
so. So it might be our fourth
Okay.
year, our fourth animal.
My God. Amazing.
And in the 4 years, I feel like we've both changed so much
So much
because
growth.
it just so happened that these were our animals. So
Yeah.
specifically, I have my mother pillar is the yang water tiger. My father pillar is the rabbit. I forget the other parts.
Yeah.
And you are the dragon.
I am. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. I'm just seeing your
Mhm.
chart now. You're a young water tiger in your mother, yin water
Mhm.
rabbit in your father. It was a young wood dragon year last year. I'm a young earth dragon, but
Mhm.
you know, same, same. Yeah.
A lot of
That's so cool.
transformation. And when it's your year, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
I've learned.
The Tai Sui. It just the way I like to describe it is how does your animal deal with all of that attention on you? You know?
Mm.
If you're a rabbit, if you have attention, too much attention can lead to that hypervigilance, that anxiety. So for
Mhm.
rabbits on rabbit year, it could lead to a lot of accidents in
Mhm.
some ways. For dragon, there's a punishment called the self-punishment. If you have double dragons in your chart,
Mhm.
for being a dragon in a dragon year, there could be a lot of fear of failure or self-sabotage or like too much ego and too much
Mhm.
excitement and saying yes to all the opportunities can lead to, you know, yeah, self-sabotage and yeah, just things not going the way that you imagined. So for snake year, I'm so excited to talk about it.
I know. So what we're
Yeah.
talking about is the BaZi chart, where you have four pillars. You have your child pillar, which is the year you were born. Most people know that one. And then you have the father, mother, and elder pillar. It's kind of like in Western astrology, your sun, moon, and rising. It just gives more information into your birth data. And each animal also has an element and like whether it's masculine or feminine, right? Yang or yin.
Yes.
Yes. So we just came off a wood dragon year, right?
Correct.
And I was listening to, I mean, throughout the whole year, I was listening to what you were saying about it. And it was so wild how spot on you always are. And you said that leadership was going to be a big thing, meaning that we don't have actual leaders.
Mhm.
You pointed out that we were in the midst of a lot of change. And it is interesting that we went from Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., who has kind of been a part of the administration for many years because he was Obama's vice president. And then we went to Donald Trump, who was a president before. So it was interesting to see that shift in leadership. And you mentioned it's important to find the leader within each of us.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that I'm missing? I'm sure I am.
Yeah, there's almost like with young wood, right? The young wood dragon principle. Young wood has that bold and pioneering outtake. So there's a sense of something new that's being emerged.
Right.
And with leadership, it's like, what are the qualities in a leader that you want to aspire to be that aren't the old paradigm way? So there's an embodied sense of leadership that dragon gets to play with. So it could look like, people always say like, oh, extroverts take the stage so much, but like introverts are people who have so much heightened sensitivity as it is going to be escalated more in the snake season. Sensitivity is the new strength. Perhaps these are the leaders to take charge now because
Mm-hmm.
they've been listening. They've been deeply listening to what was happening, what's been happening on the ground floor. slithering around the forest, around the earth, dangling around the trees, going and seeing different angles and understanding different multiple truths. So
Mhm.
yes, dragon and snake actually both live in the house of spirituality. There are themes of leadership in some sense. Dragon takes hold in leadership, whereas snake is like, who the fuck cares? Like no one knows anything, you know? It's okay to embrace the unknown and embrace uncertainty. Just it's important in this case, as Yin Wood Snake takes the stage, to be centered, to be grounded, to be patient, to be still, to have the patience to know when to listen, to observe, and when to strike.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, like we mentioned, you are a dragon year. And so, did you know that, or did you predict because you know it so well, all of the changes that you would go through personally?
That's a great question. Definitely, there was a little bit of my own personal experience and just tracking my growth as I've been learning and studying more about BaZi, how each of these animals, there's just this kind of arc between yang, yin, and all of the animals paint such a beautiful kind of they all play upon each other. They're all interdependent on each other. We're all actually all of these 60 combinations, that 12 animals and the five elements, all in one, you know? And so there's a way that, yeah, as a dragon, I could feel and interpret and analyze, but yeah, I think it's also, you know, just listening. I don't want to take credit. I have a lot of peers, a lot of people in my community who we just nerd out about BaZi, Chinese astrology all of the time. So I get a lot of my information from them and understanding who they are and
Mhm.
mirrors that we all get to play in each other. Yeah.
Because you started the year as Tiff, and then
Yes.
now
Yeah.
you're
Name change.
Forest,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Name change.
Yeah.
And you also got married. So I feel like you completely transformed so many aspects of your life. So I can
Oh
imagine,
my goodness.
you
Yeah.
were expecting some of these changes to happen, but did you know it was going to be to this magnitude?
No, I didn't come into Dragon Year thinking this was the year to be engaged or married, but I had felt, it was time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the name change from Tiff to Forest also had been brewing for a while. And, I just felt like there's a sense of a deeper layer I wanted to explore that I couldn't explore necessarily with Tiff anymore. And it took
Mm-hmm.
like shedding that skin and like letting old parts of me die, old paths that I wanted to go into and, had to divert back into my path, right? Name change felt good for that. I feel so good right now sitting and talking to you as Forrest. And yeah, just yeah, grateful to be alive right now.
Had you always thought of Forest as a name? Because I feel like it's also so significant of the wood element.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's actually more simple than that. My last name is Lin, like
Mm-hmm.
Ling.
Mm-hmm.
So in Chinese, Ling could be also be interpreted as wood or forest.
Oh,
And so
nice.
there was that, and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I liked forest green, and forest feels very mycelial in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of is reciprocity that happens within a
Mm-hmm.
forest. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking because whether it's your animal year or not, I feel like there is something that wants to emerge in each and
Yeah.
every one of us. And if we listen to the call of what is being asked of us, that's when we change the name, when we get married, when we change jobs, when we step in, right? So I was just asking if it was like an intentional, like my
Right.
dragon year, I'm going to, take
Yeah.
charge of my life and Because when you change your name, that is ultimately changing your destiny. I don't know if you
Oh
believe in
yeah,
that.
no, I
Yeah.
believe that. I believe so much has shifted since my name change, and so much has shifted since I went from like, single to in a relationship to engaged to married. Like so much shifts ancestrally, spiritually, karmically, all the chords, all the karmic chords. Yeah, I would say that dragon year had been a lot. The word that comes to mind was emergence, like the true
Hmm.
self emerges, and
Hmm.
it only gets to blossom within a yinwood snake year. So the youngwood, as I said before, is the first element of the heavenly stem's 10 element cycle. So it's very birthing energy. It makes sense.
Yes.
Force was birthed.
Hmm.
Now yin wood is more, I would say, the image of it is like a vine crawling and moving up, having the support of a trellis reaching towards the sun, or
Hmm.
a vine crawling and like coming up through the cracks is the visual that I have. Or a
Hmm.
blade of grass growing. Day by day it grows. So the mission of yin wood is resilience. And it's also growth. The
Hmm.
wood nature is all about growth. And yin wood gets to be a slow and sustainable kind of growth
Hmm.
versus yang wood is like shooting up, tree
Right.
shooting up into the sky.
Hmm.
So it was in some ways, Young Wood Dragon was like, do it big,
Hmm.
you know, get engaged and get married all within 1 year. And Yunwood, hopefully, I'm as a dragon speaking, gets to be more slow and deliberate and
Hmm.
intentional. You get to
Hmm.
savor a little bit more.
Hmm. So every year it changes from yin to yang. So it was a yang wood dragon, and we went from 2 water years to now 2 wood years. Is that how it works?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So we were in a yang water tiger and then a yin water rabbit
Rabbit,
and then a yang wood
dragon.
dragon and now a yin wood snake.
That's right. You got
Okay,
it.
I got it.
And then next year is Young Fire Horse, which is going to be crazy.
That
But
sounds intense because
yeah,
you're in fire, right? And horses are fast and they move.
horse is already fire. So each of these animals has its own native stem. So snake's native stem is yin fire. So in
Okay.
this case, the yin wood feeds and gives fuel to the fire. So
Right.
this snake here is a very youthful, vibrant,
Hmm.
mature like fire. It's very
Hmm.
resourced. And next year is going to be young fire horse, which native stem slash element is young fire. It's double young fire. It's so much sun. It's so much hyper masculine.
Hmm.
Yeah, we can get into it as we talk more a little bit about snake, but it's what I had said before in that rabbit year.
Hmm.
Remember when rabbit
Yes.
transitioned between tiger and dragon? We want
Yes, I
rabbit year
remember.
to recover and rest because
Hmm.
these two forces, tiger and dragon, are extra.
Yes. Even in Korean culture, our main animals are tiger, dragon, and phoenix. And
Okay, yeah.
so when it is a tiger year and a dragon year, it's like very intense. It's like very lucky. And
Yes.
so the rabbit in between is a time for resting and burrowing. I remember you saying that. I don't know if I did enough of that, but um, but now we can move into snake if you want.
Yeah.
Snake, what I understand about snake just from my studying of like Kundalini yoga is a very creative animal. It is very sexual, and there's a part of you that needs to shed your skin. Is that similar to how it's portrayed in Chinese astrology?
Yeah, I would say the themes around creativity is alive within Yin Wood as well. Um, Wood is also noted for, synthesizing information, creativity, new birth energy. And
Mhm.
then with the snake is also seen as the mystic, the dragon as the magician. So there's ways that the snake feels very comfortable to go into the burrows, into the shadow realm. So this year gets to be a great year to talk about sexuality, sex, money, power, the shadow elements of it, and to illuminate the darkness. So that snake being that yin fire, that candle, the
Mhm.
illuminator, gets to look into these areas where it could be uncomfortable, where it could be taboo, but has so much potential for transformation. These are the themes that I feel are really important to discuss within your inner networks and for you to get very clear and sober around so that you don't avoid it, so
Mhm.
that you don't get unconscious or that you don't uh, get like sticky or, these vibrations of like, oh, let's not look at it. Let's not ignore, the erotic.
Mhm.
Let's, let's let's not shy away from the things that have so much transmutation.
Mhm.
So that being said, snake is a big transmuter of energy. It's
Mhm.
very potent. Mhm.
Is snake energy kind of like Scorpio energy in Western astrology? Are you familiar
Um,
with Scorpio? It's like the alchemizer. You take the wound and you take the hidden and you alchemize it to your power.
yeah, I would say snake has that potential, There's the snake venom, the poison, right? Some poisons are actually a gift. So
Hmm.
there's that, the alchemy of knowing what is harmful, what is toxic, and what is not. Um, and it's really all up to interpretation. Like, I think this is a really good year for people to get right with what they want to shed, what they want to remove. The biggest verb for snake year is to shed, to withdraw.
Hmm.
My teacher, Meng, says to renunciate, to shed, to die. This is a great year to die.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'll lean to you for your Western astrology mirror advice. But Snake Month is in the month of May. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Mhm. So each animal also has a month.
Yes, each animal has its own month, has its own 2 hour time segment, has
Hmm.
its own,
Mm,
yeah. Mhm.
interesting. So when you said that this year is going to be about really leaning into the shadow aspects of money, sexuality, and the things that we kind of repress.
Yes,
Is that like within oneself, like your desires or the repression of your desires, and
yes,
maybe
all
even
of that.
maybe even questioning your sexuality? Like,
Yeah,
why do we desire certain things?
could be that. I think
People.
everyone here can benefit from questioning their inner hidden secret desires and to
Mhm.
look at that. What is that? And to be curious. Snake is one of the energetically bisexual animals. They are both yin and yang. So it's also a good
Mhm.
time to get curious with
Mhm.
your own inner masculine and feminine identity,
Mhm.
It,
Yes.
yeah, the gender norms of it all, you get to really look at that and deconstruct
Mhm.
that for yourself.
And I love that this is coming up during this administration where they're so hell bent on
Yeah.
making everything a binary, and you can't even say trans or you can't say gay anymore. And it's like the more you try to prevent people from doing that, I feel like it's like, ooh, what is that? It's like the forbidden
Totally.
fruit. You're like, what is all that behind the scenes?
Totally.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of being mirrored by the authoritativeness of the dragon leadership, right? And then like now we're in snake and we're like, ooh, what
Totally.
are these secrets?
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot here at stake with secrecy. What is the secret? Why is it a secret? Let's uncover the secret. The snakes are truth tellers. They're seekers. They're mystics. They're
Ooh,
seers. They're
yeah.
clairvoyants. They just know, and
Mhm.
they're really hell bent on finding truth and being an advocate for truth on all sides. So they're the first to play devil's advocate for everything. And
Mhm.
um, yeah. there's no one truth. There's many multiple truths, which is why Snake's favorite thing is also to say, I don't know. No one knows. It's okay to be unknown right now.
Oh, interesting. And do you find either in snake years or with snake people that these like large disclosures come out?
Disclosures or like public statements
Yeah,
around
like
identity.
secrets. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually could be. Yeah, there could be, a lot of scandals that come out like, oh my gosh, did you know so and so? Like a lot of truths being revealed about people's actual nature.
Mm-hmm.
People, being like, that was an identity that I've had that I'm wanting to strip away from. I'm actually not this. I'm this, kind of coming out nature, like
Mm-hmm.
taking the masks off, if you will, and being like, all right, I'm actually trans, like it's
Mm-hmm.
all of this and more could
Mm-hmm.
be whatever with withdrawing all those identities that didn't really fit anymore. It's there's a freedom and liberation behind that, but it could also be met with a lot of shame,
Yeah.
a
It's
lot of courage.
yeah, it sounds like you mentioned that the snake is about finding the truth, but then you also said there are multiple truths. So I
Yes,
think it's also the ability to hold multiple truths at once.
always. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's a
Just
skill that I think all of us, all of the animals, regardless what animal you are, will
mhm.
have to sit with is
Mhm.
stillness, introspection, intuition, not trusting what do you call it, a dirty snake oil salesman, like don't trust
Mhm.
someone that calls themselves a prophet. You really have to work on cultivating your own inner intuition and
Mhm.
understanding, discerning what feels true to you and what doesn't. So owning your like sacred yes, your fuck yes from your fuck no, and following that. Because a snake will, wait days upon days, like right by the rat's burrow, just waiting for, just being still, and then it'll attack. It'll attack, and with the rat not even knowing it had been there waiting patiently for days on end. So it's also really like seeing, observing, noticing, and having enough patience to know when to strike, having enough clarity to be like, yes, this is the moment, versus like, should I? Shouldn't I? Yeah,
Mhm.
no vacillating this year.
But sorry for the rat. So
Yeah.
you're saying, okay, so a snake and observing how a snake behaves. So snakes will wait by the rat's hole and be
hmm
very patient and calculating.
hmm
Also, snakes are animals that kind of slither on the earth, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Slithering. hmm
slithering. So that could also be like the shadow aspect of that is like just being like you said, selling snake oil, being fake.
Yeah, yeah. There's also another interpretation for snake that I also agree with. Snakes have masks. They have a
Mhm.
lot of masks. They have to almost assimilate to the culture,
Mhm.
the work environment. Like, oh yeah, this is who I am. But like, let's say the snake goes abroad and is solo tripping. Snakes love taking their solo retreats. That's when their mask can come off. That's when they feel comfortable showing who they really are. There's like lower risk of being seen. So yeah, snakes are really good at pretend
Ooh,
as a way to survive. Yeah.
wow. I'm just thinking of AOC. She's a snake.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
how
Right. She is.
just observing her the last year, like I loved AOC and then just seeing how in the Democratic Party she was kind of like pandering to some people so that she would get elected into certain positions and then just like seeing her being kind of fake, like what you're describing is really like what I've observed in her this last year.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of code switching that is
Code
happening.
switching, that is
Yeah.
it.
And then the systems that people operate in is also another mark, a marker for like, oh, that's another mask that you're putting on to operate within the system,
Mhm.
to get ahead, to figure things out. Maybe AOC's grander plan is to get into a position of greater power so that she can direct more power. I hear that that's a
Mhm.
whole political game in itself.
Mhm.
I do not envy her position or her karmic fate.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I think that's what she's doing.
Yeah, yeah. We
That's
will
also,
never know
yeah,
until
that's
time.
a that
Mhm.
is a symbolism of snake too, right? Power.
Yes, yes. So I said before, the taboo subjects around money, sex, and power,
Mhm.
whether it's too scary and we don't want to hold it, or, we want it so much, we're power hungry and addicted
Mhm.
to it. Just getting in right relationship with these three is a big theme I'm feeling into snake year to come. Yeah, and then there's always shadow side to everything. I said in Dragon Year, the shadow side of leadership is narcissism, when
Mhm.
leadership fails and is taking on a whole egoic trip, and there's no regard for impact, no regard for lives at stake. It's all about accumulation.
Mhm.
We're seeing that now. Um, and for Snake here, the shadow side could be that, like, you know, more sexual scandal, more like power hungry people who take money and run with it because of their wealth of resources and privilege, with no regard for other folks and other lives who are directly impacted, be it the climate crisis and all of that.
Mhm.
So that's also more to contend with.
Mhm.
And, from a collective standpoint, there's a lot there. And um, me and the folks within my community, what we're feeling right now is like, how do we tend to our own lives, our own scale of impact, right? What can we do on the ground floor that has impact versus be so overwhelmed and scattered, bombarded by what Trump's had already accomplished in this first week of since inauguration,
Mhm.
I put accomplished in, bunny quotes.
Quotes. Yeah.
Um, this was all a strategy to scatter and to overwhelm. So Snake gets to be patient, gets to listen, gets to observe and not take things on,
Mhm.
and also continue to slide, to gather, to be on the ground floor and drive impact in the way that it knows how.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are snakes more individual animals? Because I don't see snakes like hanging out with each other.
Yeah, that's a
Like, is
good
this more of like
question.
a leader, like how you said dragons are leaders? Is this also like a leadership kind of archetype?
So snakes wouldn't be the first to assume a leadership role. Snakes, when it comes with people and collaborations, they actually they need warm other snake bodies in order to thrive, in order to live. That yin wood is going to be relational after all. But then you're going to see and observe a snake once it's done getting that warmth will go back in its hole and be very alone. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the stars in the BaZi system, snake is associated with a solitary star.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a good year for solitude, for quiet, for respite, for your own solo retreats to understand who you are and what your role is in this greater collective, in this greater social ecosystem. Um, it's not, I would say, like, I think your original question is a snake a good leader?
Mm-hmm.
I think all of the animals have great potential for leadership,
Mm-hmm.
but not everyone is going to fill that leadership role. I think for
Right.
the wood snake, it's about building deeper
Mm-hmm.
connections with yourself first,
Mm-hmm.
and then collaborating with people that you trust that could be great practice partners for you, that you aren't afraid to take constructive feedback with.
Mhm.
that you know you'll be in relationship with for a long time. So conflict will happen, but conflict is great grounds for greater intimacy. It's actually a great thing. A snake isn't shy about conflict.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mhm.
What
That's
is,
snake fight, you know? It's like, okay, I bit you. Let's not
um,
kill. Hmm.
because I remember when it was the rabbit year, you said that was a good year for community because
Yeah.
rabbits are like communal animals. And then with dragon, it was not that dragons don't hang out with each other, but it's more of like you have to find the leader within. And what I'm hearing is that with the snake, it's a more solitary time to kind of do more reflection and ask yourself. And it's a dying year. So it's like, what forms of my identity do I want to shed? Because again, I'm just like thinking about animals here and knowing animals that horses are also communal animals because they run in, um, right? And
Yeah,
they're a
yeah.
little bit more wild.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. It's a good year for the introverts to not feel bad that they want to
Mhm.
like go home and rest and not be
Be by
around.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to want to do more of that this year.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And you said that the snake is a magician, or was that the dragon?
The dragon's the magician and the snake is the mystic.
The mystic. So, would you recommend during the snake year doing like mystical, esoteric things?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Actually,
Witchy
was
shit.
in an amazing tarot reading. Shout out to Miss Anita. Oh my God, I gotta find her Instagram. It was incredible. It gave me so much life, you know?
Ooh.
Yeah,
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 you need to share.
yeah. But yeah, I feel like divination practices,
Hmm.
bringing out your oracle cards,
Hmm.
contemplative I Ching, BaZi astrology.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, getting a good understanding of where your energy is and if you have any blockages.
Hmm.
Um, it's a good year to die. I got the death card towards the end of my pull, and I was excited because my teacher, my BaZi teacher, was like, "It's a good year to die as a snake." And I feel like the parts of me that I had been avoiding around my inner, um, my wounds around failure, around starting projects and not completing it, or just, my own sense of abandonment around that. I get to contend with that from another place. Yeah, I get to resolve those and see it not as failure, but as like information.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just playing with what it means to die and to shed skin over and over and over again, you know. Snakes shed skin and then they're very sensitive. They lose sight for a while and then they regain their sight and they regain clarity. It's um it's a wonderful thing to die. That's what I'm trying to say.
Metaphorically.
Metaphorically, thank
And
you.
and also death is something that is a part of life. And I
Yes.
think in the West, we don't talk about death, and so many people are afraid of it. And it's almost treated as like it doesn't happen. Meanwhile, it's such a huge part of so many other like cultures,
Yes.
having death rituals and death doulas and all that stuff. So I am interested in this concept of death, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
feel like I'm going to thrive during snake season.
I think
Um,
so.
just because I don't think I've never been afraid of death because, well, when I was born, I almost died. So I
Um,
feel like that experience was imprinted in me.
yeah.
And I also believe that we don't actually die. Like our bodies die, our souls continue on, but this isn't the end. And
Yeah.
so if you're not afraid to die, then you're not afraid of a lot of things. And then you're also more willing to live because,
Yeah.
like, wow, this life is so sacred and precious. So you have that layer of death, right? Like actual death. And
Yes.
then what you're talking about is contending with when things end in your life and being okay with that
Hmm.
and letting that part of your life die or certain aspects of yourself to die so that you can be rebirthed again.
Yes. Yeah.
And you talked about not finishing projects.
Hmm.
So, what is it about that that is so integral of your identity?
Hmm. Okay, so I found Miss Anita, Miss dot Anita dot Tarot is her Instagram handle. She
Okay.
actually pulled, are you familiar with Tarot?
I am,
The
yes.
Wands card. I forgot what number it was, but it was this archetype that I'm very passionate and I'm someone that creates a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I had multiple blogs and projects and Instagram. Anyway, to a degree, I think I had a lot of shame that I would be excited about something and within maybe a month or 2 months, maybe I get bored, maybe I get distracted. It's a plight of the wand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sorry, I don't remember the number of it, that we lose focus. And so I had a lot of things that came up around, okay, there are things that I've started that I didn't see to completion. But now I'm asking myself, what does completion even mean anyway? Like these could
Mm-hmm.
all have been just information for me at
Yeah.
that day. And yeah, just rewriting that script in my mind and needing to look at all those projects again and seeing, associating them, as Miss Anita told me, with what if you looked at your projects as they were relationships? It's not like, oh, like I regretted any of the relationships that ended within a week or a month or 3 months. They taught me so much. And yet, why am I putting so much emphasis on career or
Mm-hmm.
business? Right? Um, I don't know if that answered your question. I'm still sitting with all of it. Yeah, it's very fresh.
Yeah, I guess I'm just because I feel like sometimes I'm the same way. I start these
Yeah.
projects or I collaborate with somebody and it only lasts a year, but I don't see them as failures. I just see them as like that specific time in my life had that energy and I needed to do that, but then I needed to move on. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I needed to
Yeah.
do that at that specific time with this person. And
Hmm.
now I need to explore something else because there's another energy that wants to be experienced.
Totally, totally. Yeah. I'm getting right with that perspective. And I
Mm-hmm.
think my soul level is right with that perspective. And the dragon, uh I guess I can't even use that excuse anymore. We're not in a dragon year. The one that likes to put excuses inside to like,
I know.
validate why I haven't moved forward
Yes.
in some way. Yet things are moving forward in so many ways. I'm so abundant in
Mm-hmm.
such a way that I'm feeling really grateful for in my life right now. So yeah.
Yeah. And I used to always feel, I don't know if shame is the right word, but people would always ask me, how come you're always doing different things, you know?
Yes.
And how come you've always done so many different jobs?
They do that to
And
me too. Ugh.
yeah, and I think I just know my Western astrology, and it just makes sense when you look at my Western astrology because it's like I'm not meant to do one thing. I'm
Yes,
meant to do different things because they inform my education and my experience level so that I can like
totally.
share my wisdom. And so
Yeah.
when you understand your astrology, whatever system resonates with you, it gives you so much validation and permission to just be yourself.
That's why I love bots as well. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and I've gotten my reading from you twice
Mhm.
now, and
Mhm.
you've given me so much insight into my just like the way I operate and the way I am, and also the way I'm supposed to show up in community as well.
Yeah.
So it's
Greater
like,
collective.
yeah,
Hmm.
so it's like, oh, I'm just already doing my thing.
Doing it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my also like a very like Kundalini energy high coming out of my first bots reading with my teacher as well when she affirmed, like you said, you're not meant to do one thing as a
Mhm.
dragon. And I have goat in my chart, which is very community oriented. And like, what if my mission, my sole purpose is to help uplift community businesses and gifts? Because that gives me
Mhm.
so much joy, you know?
Yes.
That's my own business. And
Hmm.
I get to do it in a way that feels reciprocal. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm like, me and my community, we're establishing new ways of being and caring for each other. And then there's the conversation around money, like what is a sustainable business model? I think that's something we're figuring out together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, I love that you brought that up because that is one of the conversations to have during a snake year, right? Money.
Totally, money. Money,
Money
money,
is
money.
such a triggering subject for so many people that it's like, it's so interesting. I am a part of many different communities, but one of the communities I'm a part of is like very pro Palestine, very pro liberation, very, vocal on social media as well. But as a result of that, many of us have had to make sacrifices in our own careers,
Right.
because saying free Palestine is not good for business. So a lot of us have been talking about how just money and community and how we're asking people to make these sacrifices when other people have not, and just community care and how we all show up for each other and how that structure is actually not embedded in US American culture and how we actually have to cultivate that on an intentional level. And so we're
Totally.
having all these conversations and it's sometimes uncomfortable because again, we're not used to talking about money in a very vulnerable way and our way of living and needing our basic needs met.
Yeah. Yeah. Having money talks is going to be a huge thing. Money stories. I'm actually doing one tomorrow with my group, Asian Healers for Liberation, where we've just been starting to talk about our ancestral lineage or how our parents, our grandparents came across money,
Mm-hmm.
what their views are on money, and how that's impacted us and how we view money. And yeah, it's definitely, as a Chinese person, like layers and layers of scarcity
Mm-hmm.
thinking, but also like
Yes.
wealth hoarding too and all that.
Yes.
So getting right with that and
Mm-hmm.
then I've done a lot of my work within the organization resource generation. Like, I don't know if you've heard of it, the group of people 18 to 35 with wealth privilege, inherited or acquired, who are committed to redistributing their money, you
Mm-hmm.
know, money, resources, land, power
Mm-hmm.
back to the collective. And we do this thing called money stories where we also talk about money in this way and have accountability in this way. What is, like understanding solidarity economy and all of that stuff. So that gets to be, there's like these tools and these behaviors and these mindsets that we have to learn from and organize within and not go into that trap where, for me, I had to really listen and feel my body with it. It can get really uncomfortable. My default is to go to disassociation, to go
Mm-hmm.
to fog and sleepiness to avoid talking about this. And yet, it's fucking important right now.
It
Like,
really
it's
is.
key work right now is to talk about money. And yeah, I feel really tapped into like wanting to do that work with my community and my collective more and more. Hmm.
Yeah, and when we talk about community being the antidote to capitalism and to empire, it's like then you're going to shame somebody for needing to live with a roommate, or like you talk about community, but then you won't subscribe to your friend's $5 a month Substack. Or
Hmm.
like you talk about community and you're still waiting on the $10 Venmo that your friend, it's like we want people want
Yeah,
community, but then they don't think about these things at a very micro level.
totally. Yeah. It's very nuanced. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. That's
So,
also another, sorry,
sorry.
just one point around Snake is like
Mhm.
really all about money and finances and accounting and taking inventory.
Mhm.
So that kind of like you owe me X amount and I owe you this, that's going to come up this year as well. And relationships might suffer from it too. It's like, oh my God, can't you just be generous? You
Mhm.
know, like what does generosity look like in a
Mhm.
snake year? Dragon was extremely generous to a point of like not discerning how much energy they're putting out. And a
Mhm.
snake, because of that over generosity, is a bit more tactical and strategic and not as willing to trust itself to give
Mhm.
as much energy to so and so to whatever cause. So yeah, there's a whole balance to it and knowing what right relationship is. Yeah, the questions that in the movement spaces I'm in with money and redistribution of wealth is what is enough? You know, have people actually looked at their budget and calculated, looking at their bank statements, how much money they're expending a month? Like, you
Mhm.
really need to subscribe to all those like 10 apps that you don't use anymore? Like,
Mhm.
how can we get a little bit more resourceful? What is sufficient to you? Let's
Right.
going to scarcity. What feels sufficient? Like that's
Sufficient.
what that is.
Yeah.
And really honing down on simple. Snake is all about simplicity. That's the brilliance of it. It doesn't want to add more, it doesn't want to accumulate. It just
Mhm.
wants to shed.
It seems like this is coming at a really good time because so much everything is costing so much more money and
Totally.
housing is an issue,
I know. I
right?
want to share Costco membership and divide the toilet paper. Like, I want to get the conversations around that.
Yes. Like, how can we share, like you said, resources? But again, I think that's where community is the antidote because if you're all sharing a internet router, if you're all sharing a
Mhm.
car or a Costco membership, that is the opposite of capitalism,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah, we have something in our home called the rabbit hole because it was created during the rabbit year, where we have
Mhm.
an ongoing clothing exchange swap downstairs from here.
Mhm.
Most of my friends get clothes from our friends. Like this came from the clothing swap, Like
Oh, I love
it's like
that.
thank you. Yeah, it's really cold here. It doesn't,
Mhm.
yeah. It's my partner's, but it's so brilliant. Like people know who come here for our gatherings and our meetings. They'll just bring whatever they have from the garden. They'll bring whatever dishes that they no longer use. They'll bring clothes, and it's just an ongoing system where people will
Mhm.
take. And I recently added up a posters like, "Do you like what you got? Well, consider donating to the LA fires. My
Mhm.
laptop's up there."
Mhm.
And it's been really, really cool to be able to establish this system in our home. And yeah, like creating systems. That's a thing.
Wow.
That's a thing for Yin with Snake to like, how can we not have to, spend money in different retail stores or different companies that we don't want to generate more attention in,
Mhm.
Watching your attention too, attention economy, that's also another thing.
Mhm.
Know what you're investing in. Another thing. Yeah.
So
How does
snake year
internal?
also, yeah, it sounds like a divestment year.
Yes.
Like
Yeah. You need to
divesting in
help with
all
the
the systems and creating your own.
yes. Snake year. Withdraw, renunciate,
Mhm.
shed, die, divest, all of it. Yes.
Wow. I know this is a complicated question because I ask you this every year because there are four animals that people have, but if you are a year of the snake or it's the year of the snake, what animals are compatible with the snake?
So the animals in the triangle for
Mhm.
snake are the ox and the rooster.
Right.
It's
Okay.
funny because I also the way I go about it is through how my teacher Mung goes about it is like, okay, if snake is the year for stillness,
Mhm.
right? How do the animals respond to stillness? And even if like ox, rooster, and snake are good friends or are compatible, like business partners, ox
Mhm.
is going to feel awkward with stillness. And rooster is going to have a thing to say about that too. It's going to want to like, ah. you
Yeah.
know? So it's hard, like the auspices of the year, when I see it on the online, I don't look at it. It's just like, how are these practitioners making this shit up?
Yeah, how because like when you look at Chinese astrology, it is like this is going to be the best year for ox and but like again, if you have four animals, how does that
Yeah.
even work?
This is why I feel like it feels very pop to me, like what
Yeah.
they're doing. And yeah, I don't subscribe to it, but if you do, um, you can't say that one animal is going to have the best year, like, because everyone has its own attitude. And then again, there's like the nuance of four pillars and then four
Right.
elements and then all of I don't know, the math behind
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, I will say that the so the rat and the tiger are going to have to learn more patience and
Mm-hmm.
rest.
Mm-hmm.
That's you, right? You're gonna have to
Yes,
learn
I
how
have
to
both.
properly rest this year.
I love
Yeah,
I love that that's my lesson and that's like the hardest thing for me to
it
do.
is. It really is. And for Dragon, we're gonna have to like completely recover because last year was a lot, like really focus on the body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there are certain highlights that are gonna be uplifted, like the goat and the snake, the similarity between these two animals is its lunging nature.
Mm-hmm.
So goat is gonna be able to it'll also be a good time to be more cautious and not to lunge too fast, too abruptly.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what I've heard from my teacher is really just like to be cautious and to be deliberate and to be still. And it might be hard for like the monkey for example, to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
if they do that, there's going to be so much reward that comes with patience on knowing when to strike, so much efficiency.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So it
Yeah,
seems like for all animals, it's about patience
it
and
is. It's
knowing
about
when to take action. Yeah.
yes.
I mean, we talked about the year of the snake, what to expect. We reflected on the dragon. And is there anything else we should know to prepare ourselves for this year?
Hmm. Yeah, I think one of it is when I remember when I said snake year is a good time to be in solitude,
Mm-hmm.
be really, very enchanting. The snake has this way of luring people in.
Mm-hmm.
To not get too caught up into isolation and feel like you're alone. It's a good time for people who aren't used to being alone to like, experience that.
Right.
For people who are already like hermits,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, reach
Yeah.
out, make sure people know where you are and how you're doing. It could
Mm-hmm.
get very lonely, feeling isolated and feeling like you have to tackle the world stresses on
Mm-hmm.
your own shoulders. So distribute that weight.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it should be illuminating if you're excited about transmuting energy and doing like shadow work. If you're not, oh my God,
Yes.
I'm so excited for you. Yeah.
I'm excited for people because I feel like this is a very potent year for transformation for people, like getting
Sure.
in touch with your mystical self, your witchy shit,
Yeah,
like
very witchy. Hmm.
I'm very excited. And I'm sure that the people who practice these arts are going to have an uptake in their business.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mysticism for
Mhm.
sure. Esoteric natures.
Mhm. I'm excited. I'm excited for this year. I'm already wearing like
The snake. Yep.
unconsciously the
Uh-huh.
snake the snake
Uh,
archetype is like all around me.
good. Yeah. Good year to get into sensuality, embodiment practices.
The erotic. There
Oh,
is a
yeah.
essay by Audre Lorde about the erotic. Have you
Yes.
read that
Yeah.
one? Yeah. Love
Mhm.
that one.
Beautiful. Yes.
And doing some Kundalini yoga,
Yeah.
practicing.
Breath work. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Didn't you used to do that
Uh,
work? Tantra?
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. I used to do yoni massage. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For
Yes.
a brief minute. Yeah. It's so powerful. It's such a
Mhm.
powerful practice.
Mhm.
Yeah. De-armoring. Yeah.
Mhm.
Shedding all the blockages.
Mhm.
That could also be internal. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of trauma. Hmm.
Mhm. That's true. Because not everybody has a safe experience with pleasure.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could bring up a lot,
Mhm.
actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
So the same realm of like scarcity can take you out of control. So can the wounds around sexual trauma and around
Right.
it. And so really needing to heal and to do it, to do it intentionally, to do it whether it's one-on-one support with a trauma-informed
Mhm.
therapist or with a group collective. Yeah. Hmm.
And you said that this is like the snake is yang and yin, so it's like feminine and masculine energy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is it like the masculine has to integrate more the feminine and vice versa, like the duality?
Feel like it's happening at the same time. I feel internally, snake is yin,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but yang presenting,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Interesting.
So I feel in some ways embracing the feminine. I look to rabbit for the feminine. The rabbit doesn't necessarily do anything, but if it's like, divine feminine, the every animal is going to want to do the rabbit's bidding. The snake can have that alluring charm as well, but
Right.
it also can get shit done. Like it's very highly competent and capable. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of both. The seer, the yin that like knows what it wants and just breathes it out, and then the doer as well. So yeah, it's a very transformational year, being able to integrate those two frequencies together in a healthy way. If
Mm-hmm.
one way is weak, the other way, you're gonna feel it. So
Mm-hmm.
the shadow side of having toxic masculinity or toxic femininity is also going to be challenged. Yeah, people are gonna call you in to look at that.
Or out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the snake bite.
Yes. So do you still read people's charts? Like, how can people work with you?
Yeah, I still read people's charts. I also started my Ashiatsu business and work in a nonprofit now that also helps Asian Americans with sexual trauma and sexual violence. So my time slots are fewer
Mm-hmm.
now, but you can still reach out. Yeah, and I was thinking that doing like I don't I'm so bad with my business right now. Like yeah, sliding scale, right? I've been doing these free readings on Mondays, 20-minute free readings, sliding scale. It ends up being free. But yeah, for snakes, if you want to see me and you
Mm-hmm.
want a discount, let me know. I can do
Mm-hmm.
20% off.
Mm-hmm. But remember, we're rewriting your story.
Thank
So you're
you.
not bad at business. You're just trying to allow people to learn in an affordable manner,
Sure, that's right.
right?
I do
Yeah.
want accessibility to be a big
Yes.
thing for this year.
Yes.
So reach
Yeah.
out if you want, and we can talk about. All right, that feels good.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so much, Forrest. I've learned so much about the snake year and like, thank you for your wisdom as always.
you. This was such a delight. I love talking with you. Yeah.
So, see you in the year of the horse.
Yeah. Yeah. Young fire horse. Yes.
Yes.
See ya. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.